Hello, welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater and MJ. This week we are looking at Netflix 30-second film. That sounds weird, 30-second.
30 seconds.
Is that even a word? Did I make that up?
32th film.
30-second film, the 2017 comedy Win It All. It's directed by Joe Swanberg, stars Jake Johnson, Aislinn Derbez, Lo Truglio, Keegan-Michael and Nicky Excitement. Hell, I'm excited. Hey boys, how are we?
Nicky Excitement. Hey mate, how are you?
Great name. Alright, so we're into Netflix film 32. It's crazy.
They said we couldn't do it.
We're only 20 out from doing it for a year.
Yeah.
If my math is correct.
Your math is correct.
Good.
2 weeks. Yeah.
So we're going to kick off our show as usual with our Fast Flicks, where we go around the table, do a quick summary of the film. MJ is going to start us off today.
Cool. A brave insight into the struggles one goes through when dealing with a legitimate gambling addiction. Outside of this insight, Win It All fails to present an interesting narrative or likeable enough protagonist to take much more out of this journey.
Okay. There you go.
All right, so Eddie, a degenerate gambler, agrees to keep a bag safe for a local gangster while he's in prison. He can't open the bag, but will be paid 10 grand when the gangster gets out. As expected, Eddie can't resist, finds a stack of cash in the bag, which he gambles away, and now must find a way to win it all back before the gangster's released.
You had a chance to end that with a question then.
You did.
I leave my questions for Jesse.
I have been a bit slack with the questions lately, and I think I'm going to be slack again. I'm going to be slack again with the questions again. So my summary is: a guy has a gambling problem. Done.
That's it.
Nah, that's what this film is.
A guy has a gambling problem. That's it. That's all I can think of.
Well, honestly, that's a very short way of saying it. Yeah, but it's true. It's a movie about a guy with a gambling
problem.
This movie is like a snapshot into dealing with that addiction.
A gambling addiction, yeah.
Yeah. So we like to talk about.
I love that fast flicks.
Yeah. That's fast.
That was as fast as I could be. I was like, no question, but
mine is probably one of my longest ones, and you've just gone with about 6 words.
Good. I just counted them.
6 words.
Used my fingers, and I realised I didn't have enough on one hand. Six is correct.
That's why I work out the averages. I know this counting.
All right, we'd like to try and see what we've learned about this film. Did anyone find anything interesting?
Oh, it premiered at the same festival as our film from 2 weeks ago,
the South
by Southwest Festival in March
2017.
Yep, released on Netflix April 7th. So what's that? 3 to 4 weeks later.
Yeah, pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, no, I think it was the Most Hated Woman in America, which premiered at South by Southwest. They put on like about a week later. So yeah, this one was a few weeks after that from the same film festival.
So IMDb classifies this film as a comedy. Just comedy is all it says. And I know we've had some comedies that aren't real laugh out loud and you have to be everything's funny. And there's sometimes a lighter side to those movies, but this didn't have either. Like this wasn't a comedy.
There's quite a few things I found funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a comedy.
Well, there was nothing I laughed out loud at, but there was maybe scenes that were supposed to be comedy that I enjoyed and went, yeah, that's good, maybe.
I wonder if the director is sitting there going, this wasn't a comedy.
We'll go through some scenes later. But yeah,
I'm not having a go. I'm not having a go at it saying funny. Some of the jokes fell flat or anything. So I don't think there were jokes.
So would you say it's a drama movie?
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is a raw look at what it's like to go through that sort of addiction.
Yeah. I definitely think I would have said a drama comedy, but I definitely thought there was a comical element to it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was heavily improvised.
Yeah.
So maybe that was
it?
Why
this is the most scripted movie he's ever done.
Really?
Like apparently all his movies are like improv.
Oh, well, and maybe that because this is the third collaboration between the writer-director Joe Swanberg and Jake Johnson, who helped write it and is the main character.
So Joe Swanberg is like famous for these low budget genre bending. So maybe that's why it's hard to classify as one genre. Low budget genre bending films, and he has heavy use of improvisation. And all the interviews I read with him, I read like 7 interviews with him, and everyone's like, wow, like you used so much script in this film. And he's like, yeah, it's a bit different, but we wanted to get a few more things. Apparently his movies are super improv.
Oh, wow, there we go.
And he frequently casts Jake Johnson and Anna Kendrick. So
yeah,
he's known for that Netflix show Easy as well. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
Nah,
it's on the watch list, but yeah. So it's filmed. It's set around Chicago, in and around Chicago, and you see that from the opening scene where he's collecting money at the parking for the Cubs baseball
for
game.
Wrigley Field, yeah.
The poker players in the final scenes in that poker scene were actual poker rooms and players from Chicago. I thought that was cool. They actually had real poker players, rather than actors. So that's cool. And this was filmed on 16mm film.
Yeah, I read that as well. I don't know why you would do that.
Oh, I don't know either, because the opening scene did my head in straight away.
What was the opening scene?
The graininess of the film.
Ah, yeah, it was.
Like, as soon as I turn it on, I'm like, why is it so
But
grainy?
this was...
I'm sure,
This was commissioned and produced by Netflix.
Exactly.
It's not like they picked it up from a festival.
Literally, like my notes, my first thing I literally wrote was real grainy, poor lighting. Like straight away, I was like, this is going to do my head in, and it stayed like that the whole film.
Yeah, this is a movie they know is going to be on TV.
Yeah,
you're going to
you're not going to
predominantly watch it on TV.
Yeah. So
I read that I didn't understand that at all.
Did not understand it at all. So the consensus for this is pretty positive.
84% from 38 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
Audience of 55 off 661.
Yeah. On Letterboxd, we're at 3.2 out of 5 from a bit over 4,500 ratings, and IMDb was 6.2 out of 10 from almost 7,000 ratings. Pretty positive,
Very positive.
Especially from the critics as well.
So I'm a little bit confused.
I was going to say I didn't see what they saw. Whatever it was that they saw, I thought I was watching a different movie. I didn't like it. I had a lot of trouble with it.
Yeah. I think I've said this a lot about different movies. I thought this movie was average, but not in kind of like, just whatever, it's average movie. I really enjoyed a lot of this movie, but then really hated a lot of this movie. So it kind of worked out to be about average because I liked a lot, but hated a lot. So it was a bit kind of weird like that.
I'm a bit down on it. Just the aesthetics and looking at that film did my head in from the start, and you lose me in the first minute. It was hard to get me back in.
Even at that Wrigley Field, you didn't like that? Yeah,
I liked that. That was cool.
There was just a lot of nothing, and that's why I know that it was a film about dealing with this addiction, and I kind of can appreciate that for what it is. But from a entertainment level, trying to watch a movie, I made a note that 56 minutes in and nothing was happening. Like, the things hadn't happened. Like, he'd obviously blown all the money, but nothing was happening. He got a job, and he was kind of on the straight and narrow a little bit. He met a girl, and this is all good stuff that you could have done in like a 15-minute block. And it was 56 minutes before that phone call came from the guy saying, "Hey, I'm coming out of jail." I was like, finally, like a reason to like care about what's going on.
Okay.
Characters. Give us some characters.
I liked Eddie. I just liked him. He's the down and out guy. I thought he was funny. I just enjoyed watching his character on screen.
So main reason I thought he was shocking. Like, I think I'm trained enough to want to see a lead protagonist succeed. Right?
Yeah.
You watch 1,000 films, you know that
Gonna have a happy ending.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted, and succeed and change his life and come out squeaky clean on the other side. But my brain was really battling with this normality because a part of me just wanted to see him fail. Like, this is a bad dude. He's got no redeeming qualities. He's mean to people that I kind of like. So even though I was supposed to like him and I was supposed to appreciate the job and working hard and the fact that he genuinely cared for Eva, he just felt slimy and he was up to something, and I just didn't want to get sucked into believing any of it. And I don't know if I was supposed to. Maybe you're supposed to think that because he is going to dip back into that addiction. But addiction or not, I don't like the way he was treating these people, and I couldn't shake this feeling that I just don't like this guy. I'm like, I don't care if you lose all your money. I don't care if you get killed or beaten up.
I literally had that. I was like, am I a bad person that I didn't feel happy for him at the end?
No,
I was never in his corner.
The end was just...
I would have preferred him to come out as a loser at the end.
Should have. He absolutely should have.
It would have been a better film.
Yeah, it really would have. And that's why I thought maybe it was going to go down that route. Because I'm like, here's a guy that you've given me almost zero redeeming qualities. This is just a bad dude.
So, I wouldn't have minded if it was kind of an unhappy ending and something ended up happening to him. But I did still enjoy watching him. I'm not... I thought it was funny. To me, it was enjoyable to watch.
See, that would have made me enjoy the film more.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a different perspective. You didn't like him, so you didn't like the film.
Yeah.
I kind of liked him, so I kind of like the film a bit more. Which, I mean, which it gets you in from the start or it doesn't, really.
Yeah. He just made me angry.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I will say, I had absolutely no interest in his girlfriend, Ava.
no.
Could not care less about her. Every time... I mean, talk about in scenes, I didn't like their scenes, but when she was on screen, I was like, nah, let's go back to Eddie and his gambling and stuff like that. I really had no interest in her.
I didn't
at all.
write her down as characters because there's nothing to talk about with her.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in her.
Although it was, what's her name? Aislinn Derbez was her first English speaking role.
Was it?
So she's quite big in Mexico.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you think, Jesse?
About her, or
Oh, sorry,
just
you
about characters?
Yeah, go characters.
I had to think really hard to think of a character that I was like, okay, I kind of think you're okay. And that one I picked was Jean.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Keegan-Michael Key's character.
Yeah, from Key and Peele. I thought he was the one grounded person in the movie who could highlight to Eddie that there's this light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Until the end.
He understood the severity of the situation.
I had problems with that scene.
I feel like that Gene, there was no chance of him ever breaking that mold of being that I'm reformed, I'm doing the right thing now, I've got a wife, I've got a kid. Just because he suggests to Eddie to go to this other place, I don't think that changes him as a character.
I couldn't agree more. He did the right thing at the end. I liked him because it was good to have an insight from someone who understood Eddie's perspective.
I really liked him kind of up until that scene. I thought he was really good. A lot of the scenes he was in with Eddie, like the kind of the hard truths he gave him, were really good. Yeah.
So what didn't you like about that last scene, where he obviously told him where to gamble?
Awful advice, just from a guy who's supposed to be his sponsor. I thought the direction to tell him was you have to skip town. I would have rather he tell him to skip town. I didn't like him as his gambling sponsor, who the whole time is trying to tell him, you're a loser, you're a gambling addict, you've got to come to meetings with me, to suddenly say, hey, you know what, here might be a solution to your problem, I know this game. I would rather say, mate, cut your losses, you're done, skip town.
Yeah.
I'd rather him not push him back into that gambling life. I thought his advice should have been to skip town.
If that had been the advice he'd given to him the whole film, like, don't gamble, don't do it, don't do anything, and he'd never listen to him. So the one time that he says, okay, do it, and he listens to him and it pays off. So that's the one time that he actually listens to what someone says he should do.
Yeah.
And although it may not have been the right way of doing it, at least he took that advice.
It kind of like he had to, because it had to get to that point where...
No, but your point's fine.
You're allowed
to feel that.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this guy who I thought was so good as his sponsor to suddenly go, hey, here's a game, you could win it all back in. I really thought his advice should have been to skip town, to just get out of here.
Okay. I didn't like the convenience store dude, Adrian, or whatever his name was. It was just that racial stereotype again, where he's...
Oh gosh, I wouldn't even... Yeah.
He was in there twice, and he was literally there.
Put in the wrong name, didn't he, for the first scene?
Because he'd been obviously telling him the wrong name, because he was obviously doing the wrong thing by him, like he does with everyone in his life. But it was just another... Like, we already knew how bad a character he was. We didn't need him to rip off a poor little convenience store dude who barely speaks English as well. I don't know.
He was a shocking character.
Horrible character.
I like the character of Ron, his brother.
He's a bit of nothing.
A bit of nothing, but...
That was a surprise. As soon as he came on the screen, I'm like, Boyle!
Detective Boyle. But it's just the whole thing of, I think at the start of the movie, he was like, hey, come work for me, I'll give you this job. And then the whole getting a job, and he's going to try and help him with this debt. I thought he was a good... for a movie that didn't have, I guess, great characters, I liked him.
So he was too much of a safety net for Eddie. It was almost like Eddie can do all these bad things and it'll be okay because I can have this job. And then he's like, I'll give you the money that you need to pay off your debt if you do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, what an incredible safety net that is. Like, this guy can't do anything wrong. So it was good when he said he couldn't help at the end.
Yeah, it was.
But that's why I was saying, like, for 56 minutes, nothing was happening. He was just going to work and being a good dude. And like, this is not a movie. I don't like this guy.
Any other characters?
No, I've got no other characters to talk about.
What about any other actors for these roles? Because I wouldn't even bother recasting. I'd just be like, don't make the film.
Yeah, I would say that. I don't think Jake Johnson was very good. I really don't.
Is he good at improv? I don't know much of his stuff. So is he?
I like Jake Johnson in this just because I think he plays that down and out guy well.
I think he felt I think he felt really fake a lot of the time. Sometimes I just didn't believe him.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you know what you're trying to tell me, and I'm not feeling it at all. And he overacted a bit, to be honest.
Okay, yeah. I liked him.
I don't know him
Like
much stuff. He's in New Girl, and I haven't seen a lot of that, but I've seen a little bit of it.
No, I mean, I think I've seen he's in Tag. He's in the
Tag,
new.
yeah.
He's in the new the
He is
Mummy
in Tag.
film with Tom Cruise and stuff like that. Just playing that comic relief role, and I guess in Tag, well, he's kind of a bit of a loser in Tag as well.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's right.
So in those films, does he make you laugh?
Again, probably not laugh, but it's more
Like
the
funny
the
situations.
smile, yeah, like the comic relief is like,
Quite sarcastic. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Just just kind of his, I guess, persona and the way he kind of carries himself. It's not laugh out loud funny, but I find it enjoyable.
If you put like Jack Black or someone like this in his role, maybe it would be funny.
It might be.
Someone who's that.
It would be a
perfect type.
funny film, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't find this to be a funny film.
Possibly, yeah.
But I also don't think it was supposed to be a funny. I'm not saying that there wasn't bits where you should have laughed. I get that, but I don't think it was supposed to be a funny film. I would have liked to have seen Jack Black in this now.
Yeah, that was just random. I was like, because now I'm thinking
You
about
can
the
see-
scenes that he was in. I was like, he would have hammed them up massively.
Yeah,
and,
you can see him being a gambling addict too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like the scenes of him gambling.
Sorry, I'm
I
not
mean,
saying you can see Jack Black as a gambling. I'm saying I can see Jack Black playing a gambling addict.
And those scenes with the gambling would have been funny because he would have been like
Yeah.
over the.
Oh!
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some scenes. What stood out?
I liked the first convenience store scene where he's going, I liked it. Where he's going in and he's like, "Oh, I'll pay at the end of the week," and there's this big conversation. "No, you pay now." "No, I'll pay at the end of the week." He's grabbing stuff. I thought it set up well. You know, he's the degenerate and stuff, and I found that kind of funny. He's like, "No, I'll pay at the end of the week. It'll be fine." I enjoyed it. I'm sorry, Jesse, you didn't like it. I enjoyed it.
Don't have to agree. That's fine. Is that the one scene you liked?
Oh,
I have
no.
one. I have one.
I've got a few. Well, MJ, you say your one because
Best
I've got a few.
scene was the end credit scene without counting the money, and it was $400 over.
That was very funny.
No,
See, I found that funny.
That was the only scene I thought was good in the whole film.
I found it funny.
I've got that in like my questions.
They were so confused.
Yeah.
They're like, "What? $400 over?" Yeah.
What's the question?
Why was that needed?
Because it was the only good scene.
It was absolutely neaded.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it was.
From a plot perspective, it certainly wasn't needed.
No, not at all.
But it was the only scene I thought was kind of fun.
It wasn't. So like, what's he going to do now? He's like, oh well, he's actually going
No,
to
there's
put an extra $400 in it. So
That
we're
was
gonna
in
get
there as a funny scene.
Ah, yeah.
Like there was no like, what's going to happen off the back of this? That was
Yeah.
it. All right,
laugh at this.
Just forgot to laugh. Okay. So.
Yeah.
I forgot to laugh. Oh, I
Jesse,
thought
that was
scene
the only good scene.
I thought the scene was absolutely needed.
I thought the cash counting on the scene with the numbers helped to progress the story, so you knew how much it was up in.
Man, he blew quick, didn't he?
I love that. I love, especially
Don't know about love.
because we've seen some other movies where
Yeah.
they've had the text message go up on screen. I really haven't liked that.
Yeah.
I really like the cash count coming up on the screen.
Well, you needed it because how else are you going to know?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. But no, I thought that was really good.
There's a scene where he finally like he's trying to get his stuff back together, and he's lying in bed, and he has like the alarm clock on his phone go off, the alarm clock on his bedside go off. I'm like, this just reminds me of me. I'm like,
Yeah.
snooze.
Okay,
I was like
yeah.
that. And then the last one that I liked was where Eddie goes back to pay the convenience store to the Adrian guy. It was like there was like a beat that was like in one of the Eminem songs, and I was like, that's the best part of the film so far. It was just the beat. There's no lyrics. It was just the beat. Yeah, what'd you
All
like?
right, I'll smash through the scenes I like then. So when Eddie is talking to himself and telling him not to open the bag, he's like, "No, don't do it. And then he's opening the bag going, "Oh no," and he's pulling out the money. "Oh no," pulls out more money. Oh no. Liked it, loved it. It was great.
So like he was high when he was doing that.
Yeah.
If he wasn't high, would he have done that?
Yeah.
When he was sober? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
It wasn't a matter of
why did he need to be high then?
He's a degenerate gambler. He was always looking.
because he was high at that point in time.
Yeah, he was always doing, I think.
From his brother, who's supposed to be a good role model for him.
The first diner scene with Gene, where he's kind of, he's calling him a loser and telling him not to touch the money. I think I really like that. And then especially because Eddie's like, "All right, I won't touch the money." Next scene cuts to him taking the money straight out of the bag.
Yep.
Very good. Just in general, I really like watching cards and gambling in movies. So I really like movies like Rounders and Molly's Game.
21.
And 21 as well. I really like watching cards and gambling. I think it's great viewing in a movie. So I enjoyed all the scenes with them playing cards. I like watching kind of horse racing too. the scenes at the track weren't, I don't think were that great, but I really enjoyed all the scenes with him actually playing cards because I just enjoy watching that in movies. I like gambling in movies.
The scenes at the horse track, I was almost like, it was like guerrilla filming almost. Like they didn't get permission to film there.
Yeah, it looked pretty.
And it was like, we'll just take a camera in and we'll just film you at the races.
You're not supposed to film it at like sporting
no.
events.
It didn't look great, but I really enjoyed all the card scenes. There was a scene that kind of, I can't remember what happened before it, but suddenly all of a sudden there's a scene where Eddie's kicking the dumpster and it shows he's 27k down. It just all of a sudden out of nowhere, loved it. It was funny as brilliant.
He was like 5k down.
Yeah, and then suddenly 27, and which I'm just like, oh, jeez.
How much money was in the bag? We never know, do we?
I don't think we ever found out. When he goes to the big high stakes game at the end, and before he even goes to the game, he's sitting at the bar and he's complaining, going on about how it's not a proper hold'em table. Yeah. And I just really liked how worked up he got over it, because like, no, it's not a proper hold'em table. He's like, okay, fine, relax. I'm relaxed. I'm not worried about it. But it's not even a proper table. Like, he just got so relaxed over it. And I thought it was justified, because how do you have this high stakes game with dealers and bartenders and not have a proper poker table?
I thought like that was going to lead into like the table being set up to cheat or something.
To being dodgy or something. I'm like, how do you have a proper table? But I liked how worked up he got over it. And then the scene outside after he plays the big game and he's complaining to his mate about how the other guys play. It's like, I don't want to flip a coin for money. It's his crap. If I didn't know this was about, I wouldn't have come here. After he's already bought back in once. Like he's saying he wouldn't do it, but he's already bought back in.
So that's a really important scene about the addiction.
Yeah.
So that I kind of get it for that. I don't think it's funny.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. So then, sorry, my last one then, actually, which I think actually was probably one of the better scenes, was so when Eddie's finished, he goes to his friend, he's like, I've got all the money and stuff, and he wants to go back in it, and Eddie's friend is telling him to go, before he has his heart attack, he's like, no, cash him out. And he constantly says, no, cash him out. I really like that from his friend being like, no, this could go really bad. You've got the money, cash him out. He's basically, he was there to hold the bag and just be that guy, but he's now taking control and going, no, you don't know what you're talking about, yelling at him to cash him out. I really like that.
How bad was the acting for that heart attack?
Yeah, I wrote that.
Yeah, the heart attack wasn't great.
Some of the worst acting I've ever seen.
But ignore that and worry about his friend trying to be the right thing.
But do you reckon that, like, was that part of the improv? Like, he's like,
maybe.
I just need to get out of here.
I thought
maybe
it was going to be like he faked a heart attack to get out of there. And then I'm like, no,
he had a heart
attack. That's terrible acting.
Do you reckon they're just like, the director's gone, I need you to get out of here, do what you can, and then we'll make that scene afterwards?
Possibly.
Because when you bring out that scene, I was like thinking, this is where he has that horrible shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought his friend doing that was really great too. Really liked him kind of taking responsibility and going, no, I'm getting you out of here before you get yourself killed by a gangster.
Yeah. And again, it shows the fact that he just won. He got himself out of trouble.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I got to go back for more.
Yeah.
Like that's
shows that addiction. Yeah.
They do it. They do it quite well.
That's it for all my scenes I liked.
Annoying scenes. MJ?
Alright, so for me, the first one that really bothered me was at the bowling alley where him and Ron were just chatting afterwards. I thought, this is at a point where I'm just like, nothing is happening. Like, what's going to happen? Something has to happen. I thought there was going to be like a real change in that scene. So Eddie started to fire up, like he was going to quit his work or whatever. But then they just kind of, nothing happens and they're all fine.
So that's where Ron was lecturing him kind of about the girlfriend.
You've said this before, but
I didn't like that.
But I'm just like, okay, this is if we're going to see a change in character and he's going to crack it and he's going to quit. And then this is like ended and they're fine and happy and I'm like, more of this. I'm like seriously thinking I'm going to watch this whole film of just a guy living his life. That's honestly what I thought I was going to watch. I hated it when he listens to his voicemail and he gets the call from Eva and her daughter read the dinner after the final gambling room and he goes back in and wins. And like, is that message that when you've finally got something to lose, the bad things that you do are going to all of a sudden be good? Because I was waiting for this message of like gambling, right? And this guy had no reason to think that his gambling life should have turned around by his actions. But then he won and you're like, what sort of message are you trying to tell me there? Like, because you got something to lose, you're going to win? Like, I didn't like it. Didn't like that all of a sudden, you know what? I do have a girl at home. I really like her. Nah, bugger it. I'm going to go back in and fight for them by doing the wrong thing again. So,
yeah.
And then I wrote, worse acting for a heart attack. But the final scene also really did it for me, where they're sitting at
The table.
If we were watching this together, I would have said out loud, why was this a movie? Like, I compare it to the final scene of Seven Años, where they just show them sitting at the table. It's the same sort of thing. When you're showing that, you're almost just like, okay, this is the story that we've told, and this is where it's ended. And I'm like, I don't even know where it is. Like, she's angry at him for being late. Oh no, you had a heart attack, so it's okay. Yeah. Oh, how you going? Nice to meet you. A really awkward exchange with the daughter. Let's sit down and have dinner. I'm like, what? Where does this go from here? Like, what messages have I learned, or what do I think is going to happen with this dynamic? I don't know. But I was just sitting there thinking, I don't need to see this. I don't know what you're trying to tell me, and it bothered me.
So I got really angry at that end scene when the credits appeared, which goes into kind of that mid-credit scene. I got really angry because I was like, no, you can't end here. I haven't got resolution of if the gangster got his money back. Obviously, he returned the money. Like, he'd won the money, he'd gone to hospital, but he'd never given it back. And so those credit rolls, and I was like, no. What happened? Like, is he okay with the gangster? Like, what's happened? That's why I thought that mid-credit scene was needed, because it showed, okay, he got the money back, so okay, that's cool. But yeah, I was really upset the fact that they didn't provide any resolution when that ended as to if he was okay and if he got the money back to the guy.
I completely forgot about that.
I got really angry about that until the mid-credit scene came. Like, okay, there's my resolution. But that ended. I was like, no, you cannot end it here. You have not told me the end part that I want to know.
But to that point, I don't think the movie was about that. Like, I don't think that was ever really a threat.
And they didn't even say like how much up he was up. Like, did he just make enough money back to pay back, or did he make enough to be well over? Or
I think he broke even.
I think he made $400 extra.
Yeah, $400 extra, but which he didn't realise.
Yeah. Okay.
You go, Jesse. Have you got any
I
more
didn't like when the guy goes into his room and gives him the bag in the first place. When he sits down and goes, I've got this deal for you. I'll give you 10 grand if you look after this bag. So he'll be at least 10 grand up, because a guy would have come through with his.
That's what he should have said to Ron as well. When Ron's like, can I have the money? And he's almost, I would have been like, yeah, but we're going to get 10 grand back immediately.
Yeah.
So it's less than that. I've already got some money. Like, why didn't he think about that?
Yeah, that should have come up more.
Yeah. So it's like, don't look at it, don't open it. It would have been a better movie if it dealt with him with the struggle of not opening it and never opening it.
I wrote, one of my questions was, surely you're pushing a lot harder to find out what's in the bag, right? Because when he said, what's in the bag? I can't tell you. Oh, okay, no worries. I'm like, no, if you're going to pay me $10,000 to hide this bag, I need to know what's in it.
I feel like, he's just that much of a degenerate gambler that he just hears, you'll get 10 grand. You're like, yeah, fine. I'll do whatever you want for 10 grand. Fine. I need that money, to gamble with or to pay off debts. That his concern isn't, I'm holding this criminal's bag of probably incriminating evidence of a murder or something. Like, who knows what it is? All I'm thinking is, I'm getting 10 grand out of this. I'll hold whatever you want for me, just,
When it was money, I was like, that's fine. I thought it was going to be like a head or something.
No, it wasn't always pulled out. I thought it'd be like a murder weapon. Pulled out a hammer.
I thought it was going to be short of drugs in there.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been a much better movie if you deal with his emotions of not opening it. I thought the scene at the bar where he bumps into Eva for the first time.
That was... But I think that was supposed to be awkward.
That was so awkward and cringeworthy.
I get it was meant to be awkward, but so he bumps into her, goes to the toilet, bumps into her again on the way out, and then that awkward conversation with the guy behind the bar saying, please take the drinks over, and he's like, no, I don't leave the bar. I'll give you $20. No, I don't. And then he does it, and then he awkwardly goes over and he's like, my mates, come over. Just here you go.
I thought the worst part was when she was like, oh, you? And he's like, yeah, I'll come over soon. I'm like, oh my God, this is just hard to watch. It was so hard to watch.
I did like the follow through that they left the last two standing in the bar. They went out together, got some food, walked around the park, and I liked that they didn't end with him going back to her place that night. I thought that was a good sort of build through that relationship.
In part of that, though, I hated when they were kind of sitting there and he's talking about, this, you came to this bar on this night, it's destiny kind of thing. I hated that. I was like, get lost. No.
Didn't like the dad being called Chips because of his gambling. I was like,
call him Dad.
I know. I'm like, we get that this movie is about gambling. We don't need you to tell us your dad's called Chips because of gambling.
Chips would have wanted this, Chips that. It's like, come on, Dad.
The scene where Eva and Eddie finally get home. The grandmother's out with the daughter at the movies. They go home. They go up the stairs. I could barely see that scene because of how grainy it was.
Yeah, it wasn't well lit, was it?
Couldn't see. Could barely see what was happening. Poor quality. Poor choice in filming this on actual film. What was the point of the drive-through of the suburbs when they go to that last gambling place? Because they ended up at this cheap, dirty motel anyway. was like, they're going through all these nice suburbs in the car and like, oh, this is a nice part of town. And then the place they're actually gambling in wasn't a nice part of
I
town.
think maybe it's just to show how far away he was from home because he had to get back for that dinner. And I'm not too sure.
so.
I just thought they needed to add an extra couple of minutes in to make it a 90-minute film.
Well, they could have cut about 45 minutes of him doing nothing.
When they rock up this place and then the guy on the door goes, you can't bring the bag man in. And then all the
He just lets him in.
yeah, okay,
He
just
lets
come
him
in.
in.
There's no point in having that dialogue. just let them both go in together. Cut that out.
It's probably improv.
Tighter cut. Yeah, probably was improv. You just say, you're an extra in this film. You're going to be a bouncer.
I'm going to be the fun with this.
How much improv can you get?
Line.
Oh, this guy wants to bring his friend in. Nah, you can't bring him in. Oh, yes, I got a line. Well done. And finally, he made that 50 grand back way too easy at the end. It was like 2 little cuts of him winning, and it's like, yeah, I got 50 grand. Rubbish.
I needed more gambling.
I was going to say, I was going to ask you that.
I needed more cards playing.
If you like that gambling stuff, you must have felt pretty cheated with the way he won.
Absolutely did. Like, we had all this stuff, kind of a bit more at the start of the film, and then, he loses a bit, and then suddenly he wins. Like, no. I want to see his hands winning. I want to see a lot more of that. Yeah, I needed a lot more gambling from him. But say, like you were saying, you could have cut out 45 minutes of him doing nothing. Put in 45 minutes extra of him gambling. I would have watched an hour of just gambling. Like, that would have been a great movie.
I don't think it would have been.
I would have loved it.
Any other scenes we didn't like?
I hated the karaoke singing at the bar. Just kind of that whole thing of when
their friends just hook up
when
with
the
their
guys
friends,
go over and they're kind of chatting and stuff and the karaoke. I was like, no, this is
one thing that
let's go back to the gambling.
One thing that did
to
surprise me
addiction.
about that scene, I was very surprised. I thought they were definitely going to hook the black couple up together, and then they didn't.
They didn't.
I was like, that's good. Well done.
Yeah.
Improv.
The other one, as much as I liked the money count coming up on the screen, at one point a text message came up on the screen, and I just thought they looked so tacky, like the way that it was just kind of like text there, and it probably goes to like saying like it wasn't shot that well. I thought the text message come up on the screen at the time I was like, oh, that looks really tacky. Like that. What are you doing there? Okay. Yeah, I thought it looked really bad.
It was only that one. They only did it once.
Yeah. And we spoke before, I didn't like the sponsor telling him about the game. I think he should have told him to skip town. I don't like the sponsor, who I thought had been a really good character up until then, going, hey, let's feed the addiction.
All right. Cool. So what was the film trying to say? We've already touched on gambling, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to mention, because I've been really negative with this film. So I do think the whole theme of dealing with addiction, particularly gambling addiction, was done well. Like, he did want to change his life around, although I was never fully convinced because the character was a bit dicey. But the allure of gambling was just too much for him. It's almost felt like one of those problem gambler ads. You win big at first and chase that win big feeling as much as possible. The idea where he says, but if I lose this money, I'm back where I started, when he said, I'll take $500 out. Or when he won that money, he's like, I'll just gamble that, and if I lose, I'm back where I started. All good things to highlight this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in that boat with that.
Absolutely.
They would look at all those things and be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I do. So I think they got that right.
I think they did it well, and I think there was also a bit on kind of the support networks around kind of this addicted gambler. So you've got, when he's in trouble, the friends that come out with ideas. I think one said skip town. We could come up with this app that they're trying to help him out. You've got the friend who's at the game who tells him, no, you've got to cash out now. We've got the money. Let's not keep going. Cash out now. His brother he's constantly trying to offer him a job, and he says, work out a deal to help cover your debt. And you've got the sponsor who's constantly telling him, you've got to come to meetings with me. So he had a lot of different sources. Not that he listened to anyone, but he did have a lot of different support networks that were trying to help him out.
True.
So I like that support network part of it.
Yeah, the family's always there as well. Like the family. And Boyle, I can't remember his brother's name. Ron was always like, his wife likes him as well. We just want the best for you. So
yeah, exactly.
They're always there. And like the nephew, like spending time with him and all that sort of stuff.
Even like at the job, at his first day in the job, when the other workers tell him, he can't rake, he can't do anything, but he's just like, I don't care. He needs a job to earn money. I want to support him. Like it didn't matter. Yeah, how can you not rake?
There's a bit about growing up too. Taking responsibility for your own actions and what you do, like, yeah, he needed to learn to that change that he needed to do. So, and they sort of showed that. He said multiple times, "I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person," and he had to become a morning person to sort of try and change, even if his big victory at the end was nothing about change at all. It was a big victory in what he'd always done.
Shocking excuse. Yeah. I can't come to breakfast because I don't wake up What?
Oh, yeah. That should be a red flag right there. She goes, all right, well, I'll see you later then.
Things happening for a reason. Is that something that, like, you didn't like that line that the chick
No,
said?
I didn't like the Destiny line at all.
Oh, when he met her. Sort of.
Yeah. So, like, they met. His sponsor helps him get victorious in the end. The brother helps him build this life back up. So these things, I felt like they sort of, he had nothing to do with those things happening.
That's a support network as well.
A little bit, tied in with that.
Yeah.
But they all happened for a reason. It wasn't anything from his doing.
Nothing he did was good.
What do we take away from the film?
I don't think, well, apart from the 16 mil factor, I don't think you'd want to see it on the big screen.
No. I reckon you'd rather see it on the big screen than...
But then you still wouldn't have the enjoyment factor. So I can actually see it potentially playing a role in, like, schools to highlight the perils of addiction, but even that would be a stretch. Because you know that gambling addiction can be done well in films like Rounders or The Hustler, but Win It All, which is a shocking title as well, by the way, Win It All, it felt agonisingly short of those sort of films.
Yeah. For me, it was, like I said, it was so up and down. I really liked a lot of the gambling aspects of it. So I liked watching the gambling scenes. I liked, his struggle with being a gambling addict. I really liked all that. But then all the other scenes, especially with his girlfriend, I just was not interested at all. It just didn't work for me. And the whole time I'm watching them, I'm going, this is dragging. Let's go back to his gambling addiction. Let's focus on that more. I don't care about his relationship with this girl. Like, let's go back to what I enjoyed about the film. So I was very much loved and hated, half and half.
Yeah, I've said it so many times, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's just poorly lit, really grainy. Not sure why they didn't film it on digital when you're on a digital streaming service.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was picked up by Netflix. Netflix commissioned this.
And it had, like, there were multiple times with the crackle of that, like, the little crackles in the screen. I'm just like, wasn't great for that sort of thing. IMDb, did anyone jump on IMDb, check anything out?
Yeah, I jumped on for his mate Berg, who was a karaoke singer. He was the bartender from Tag.
That's exactly what I had.
Yes.
That's exactly what
he comes up. He comes on and I'm like, I definitely know you. Where was it? Look at he's a bartender from Tag who wants to join their Tag gang. Yeah.
When he spoke for the first time, I'm like, I recognise that voice.
Yeah.
The main guy...
Did you jump on?
No, I didn't. Like, I did, but it didn't... Because the main guy in it, what's his name? Jake Johnson. His voice is just real familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like... I don't know whether it sounds a bit like... I don't know. His voice just sounds so familiar, and I don't know what it is. And I couldn't find anything that...
So you haven't watched New Girl?
No. I've seen, like, bits of it, but I've never watched a full episode.
I think he's in New Girl, yeah.
Yeah, he's in New Girl. Yeah. Not that I've seen it.
All right, so what are some questions that you want to ask?
Would you take the deal the gangster offered him?
I would.
Would you hold the bag that you know is probably got some illegal or dodgy stuff in there? Hold on to it. You get 10 grand.
I'd ask a lot more questions.
I'd do it.
Yeah, 10 grand is a lot of money.
10 grand worth it. Hold this bag for 6 months for you. Even if it's got a head in there. You couldn't open it.
I'd do it.
I'd do it.
Well, you can open it if you're him.
Yeah. Just don't get tempted.
I'd do it.
I'd definitely do it. You, Jesse?
Nah, I'd stress about it too much.
Yeah.
I'd just worry about it the whole
Yeah, there is
time.
that. For I guess someone who's not degenerate gambling addict like him, for a general person, you might be sitting there going, when are the cops going to burst in and find a murder weapon?
The thing is, when it was money, I was
Sitting
like,
under my bed.
that's lucky. It's just money.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, hang on, this guy's going to burn.
Like, I was kind of thinking, it could be drugs.
Yeah.
When are the cops going to burst in and find a shitload of cocaine under my bed right now? Like, that isn't mine, like, what? Ugh.
That's true. That's quite risky.
10 grand though.
And then you don't know if he's putting you up for it as well.
Exactly, yeah. He might frame you.
Yeah, try and get rid of the evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do it anymore.
Yeah. I've talked you out of it, haven't I? That was any question I had. Jesse, you got any more?
Similar things were like, why was this film made?
Yeah. That's what I'm not sure. But I think it's a snapshot into that.
Yeah, I think it's more made for kind of highlight, the troubles of gambling addiction. It just wasn't done as well as it should have been.
I think that part of it was almost done okay, but I just wasn't
interested.
interested.
It's just kind of the other half of the story. For me, I was just like, I'm not interested in this.
All right, so I think we're ready to wrap it up.
We are,
yeah.
So we always go around the table and have a summary or a rating out of 5 that we give for each of our films, and we put them together for an overall percentage. Heater, what have we got?
So for me, this film was a pretty easy watch. I did find it pretty funny, and I really enjoyed a lot of the scenes regarding the gambling aspect of it, his gambling addiction, the cards and all that. But then on the other hand, a lot of it I really didn't like, and it dragged, and anything that took the focus off the gambling aspect, I really couldn't stand. So in the end, some of it was really good, some of it was really bad. So I gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
MJ?
The work they've done to illustrate the perils of living life as a gambling addict is semi-commendable. It wasn't flawless, but it was a brave approach. With that said, it doesn't mean that it translates to a 90-minute narrative, and I personally struggled to enjoy it on any level. Jake Johnson was okay, but he needed to blow the audience away to make this film work. I struggled to really take much out of this one solitary star.
All right, so yeah, I struggled to connect with the main protagonist, which made the film a struggle. The aesthetics quality did my head in throughout. The performances were good, and you can tell that it was directed by a professional. Like, it was, you could tell that it was made by someone who knows what they're doing. But the ending to me was just too convenient. I just would have preferred it to be a film without that sort of ending, so I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. So what does that give us as an average?
1.83 out of 5.
Oof, very low.
Yeah, I pulled that down for you.
Yeah, that's good. So
That's all right.
we are on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Flix Forum. We have a question of the week on there that we would love a little bit of response to. So this week we've sort of touched on this already, but would you have opened the bag? So if you had the bag, would you have opened it yourself?
Absolutely, I would have. I wouldn't have been able to help myself, I reckon.
So if you can, please subscribe to us as well. Hit the subscribe button. We're on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find a good podcast.
We're on everything.
Because we are a good podcast. Next week, we are looking at the 2017 comedy Sandy Wexler. So we've got another
back
to Adam Sandler.
Good.
Directed by Stephen Brill, stars Adam Sandler, Jennifer Hudson, American Idol fame, Kevin James, Terry Crews, Rob Schneider, Colin Quinn, Nick Swardson, and Lamorne Morris.
Kevin James, did you say?
Kevin James.
Yeah, I tried to skip over that.
Yes. MJ's in.
I've been watching
And
so
Terry-
much King of Queens recently.
So we got Rob Schneider back, which is good. We got Terry Crews.
Schneider.
I have seen this one. I saw it when it first came out, but my memory on it is very poor. So I'm looking forward to
I
watching it
can't
again.
wait.
Very poor. Very poor. So yeah, we'll chat about that one next week as usual. Thanks for listening and thanks for being here, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Thank you, mate.
Good fun.
See you next week.
Bye.